Alright, I said I wasn't going to do this, right? I said I'm not going to defend your relationship or try to help you at all with Jonathan Rhys Meyers if you continue to be such a jerk. I said that about Marlene, right? I did. How do I talk about this? She has actually not ceased to be a jerk. She's continuing to be like really a jerk, right? And I guess but a lot of people are, right? A lot of people are. It's a very crazy time where a lot of people are doing really jerky things. They just are, right? And I guess the impression that I originally got of her was, for the most part, except for this her involvement in crazy things that are bad, because of the industry that she's in and whatever else is going on in her life, and her dislike of me in particular. You know, aside from those things, essentially she seems like a pretty straightforward person, you know, for the most part. Someone who can get from point A to point B, for lack of a better way to put it. Someone who, how am I going to say this without having it really sound wrong? Like someone who can be like a fully functioning half of like making a good home with somebody, you know? And for me, I think the thing that I was thinking of originally in terms of like her being a good partner for Jonathan Rhys Meyers is just like, there's a couple things that he and I have in common. There's a couple things that he and I have in common. You know, one is, I don't know, maybe a certain type of creativity. Which it's not that other people can't learn it. It's just that sometimes if your life has been really disrupted, you can kind of get to it in a number of ways. One is the most unusual way that almost never happens is if like you grow up in a situation that is actually really secure, but you also have parents who really encourage your intellectual development and encourage you really to think about things in ways that like understand convention, but then can also kind of like learn new things, think about things another way, and like allow you to be like a functioning individual in society. Pretty much almost nobody gets raised that way. Very unusual, right, to have parents who are that like stable and enlightened. Almost never. And another way that you can get to it is, which you know is not good, not the right way to go with it, to have things be very disruptive. Like, my parents were kind of a little bit of both, really very unhappy, had so much trauma, and as a result were kind of it was hard for them to be consistent. And so I think that he and I have that as like part of how we grew up to a certain extent. You know, a fair amount of insecurity, a fair amount of instability, having to kind of creatively find ways around all the stuff that we didn't know how to do, didn't understand, that kind of thing. But too much so, right? Too much so, to the point where there are things about us, I think, that like a pessimistic view of the world, cynical, angry, hardened, not so great, not so healthy, and something that's kind of always threatening to take over the way we think about things. And she seemed to me to be a good balance for him that way, in a way that I don't, you know, I think for me, I don't know that I would be, you know, and I'm scared, very scared. You know, I mean, drug addiction is the kind of thing that I just have always just not wanted to be involved in. Have so many other problems of my own, that as much as I can respect someone who is trying to struggle with it, like trying to deal with it, I just don't want to be involved, right? It doesn't mean that other people can't or shouldn't. It just means that I'm not willing to take that on in my life in terms of what somebody else's problem is. I just can't do it. And she seemed, you know, that she was genuinely interested in him and loved him, right? And now I'm getting the feeling like, that maybe she's just gonna try to like use me and use. She's really being a jerk. She's really being a jerk, right? I'm the one who is suffering all the time and have so many horrible problems, and she's just like sucking up to everyone. You know, people kind of go through stuff like that, right? I suppose, you know, she's taking it very personally, the things that I said about her, and she's certainly free to do that. Because as far as like being invaded in a personal way, that's happened to me on a scale that's like unprecedented in the history of humanity, right? And so I'm having a really hard time. And to say like you can just deal with it when my life disrupts yours in one way or another, when you're hacking my phone, other people are hacking my phone, your boyfriend's hacking my phone, is, you know, I mean, I don't considering the situation, it's not totally unreasonable. If you want to break up with your boyfriend, you know, and then blame the entire thing on me while you exploit, you know, being able to suck up to all the people who don't like me, that's you, that's on you. But don't blame that on me. You know, I don't know. I don't know if your relationship with him can be salvaged. At this point, as far as I can tell, the thing that you're most interested in is making things harder for me, and you couldn't care less about that relationship at all, right? So do what you want. Do what you want. You know, if you really love someone, you don't act the way that you're acting.